Hey Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune, and today it's finally Neon's time to shine. We'll be testing her out, seeing how she does in a varied amount of different scenarios, and see how much firepower she can push out. Here we go. Alright, so starting off, we had to have a baseline for her, and we're gonna try to put her against Cinderella here with this setup against the boss. So just in case you forgot it, here is the crown. Her stats don't really matter that much. Anise will have these stats, so some more elemental overall and an attack here and everything, which is going to be pretty decent. We have a Cinderella who is core 3, so what is kind of unfair is that the Cinderella does have much more investment than the Neon will have, unfortunately, and she also is going to have, of course, the core 3 and the bond 40 over there, so there will be a little bit of a difference right there. For this one, we also be using Referee Red Hood, and the elemental here doesn't matter because she's going to be off element. So in some cases here, you would put in like a the Summer Anise or something else. But I feel like for a one-to-one comparison, we kind of want a neutral right here instead, just so we have the damage from the one major electric carry. And then we have Main Mast over here to even things out. And in the next test, all we'll do is replace Cinderella with Neon. So let's get started right here. We'll keep scope block off for this. And here we go. So we're not going to do too much like manual, but we can't full auto this team because we need to control our burst with both the crown and the mast. And if you don't know, it is beneficial to start your burst off with mast first, with main mast first, then crown, then main mast, and then you go to your crown mast in that order. So that's really all we're going to do there. And we will keep going like this until we, run out of time. So we are push it out right here, and we'll go right here, and just remember here, and then I want to go 1, use my mast first, and then I go into Cinderella. And now, main mast here will go into her drunken state, so she'll be stunned for a little bit, and that's when I know I have to go into my double crown burst. So here we go. So this is going to be the first crown burst right here, and there we go. So we're keeping it going, and then after this, I'll do a second crown burst, and then I'll do another mass burst after that one. So I'll go 1, then I go with the crown, and then I go with Cinderella, and this one will be a mass burst. So yeah, anyway, I will be back with the result screens in a second here. Okay, so damage right under the 12 billion mark, and you see the stats right here. So Cinderella about 5.4, Anise about 3.2, Rappy did about 2.4, and then Mast and Crown make up about a bill between the two of them. So those are the numbers that Neon is going to be trying to surpass. So we'll just see how she does. Alright, so all we're going to do here is we're going to replace the Cinderella with the Neon right now. And the Neon will show her stats, if I can find it here. Okay, so, not quite bond 40, and she's a little bit less invested than the Cinderella, because she doesn't have the levels into the gear. So, she is 10-10-10, and she's going to be on resilience for this fight. So, and here are the lines. So, elemental, charge speed, charge damage. Charge damage is really nothing stat, unfortunately, here. Blue attack, which is pretty nice, but defense, which doesn't really do anything right here. The charge speed and max ammo. This is kind of a whatever piece. Then we have attack and max ammo. So we don't actually have only one elemental line, which is kind of annoying. But we do have 2 attack lines. So kind of, average pieces of gear, honestly, for bossing. and stuff like that. But it is what we had to deal with right now, as we only had like a limited number of rocks to roll. But yeah, oh, she's also on I think her doll is like stage SR12, maybe SR11, something like around there. I also ran out of doll upgrade mats, unfortunately. But here we go. So let's just go into it and see how she does. Now, something pretty important here is that Neon does have a resource gauge, which is her firepower gauge. It will start at 100 when you enter the battle, and we'll see what happens here when she uses her burst, and there we go. So now she goes into super firepower mode, and you see right there where her gauge is going down to 0, and she's doing just a lot of damage. Alright, so now you're wondering, how does she get her gauge back? Well, she can only get her gauge back when she fires shots during her own burst. And Neon is not a character that you can quick like shot like some RLs can. She has to fully charge all her shots to go off. So here we go. Go 1, 2, and I'm gonna wait a little bit here so that she can reload. And there we go. Now, I could have forced a reload instead of doing that way, but you know, I kind of want to make this as like simple as possible for this testing right now. And you notice that she got 2 firepower every shot in her burst, and she gained firepower when her burst ended. So there we go, right there. We go 1, 2, and I know I just reloaded, so I can do that right there. And if you're wondering, you can probably get off between like 9 to 10-ish shots during a full burst window. So I think if you have like at my charge speed, right? I think you have maybe a tiny bit more charge speed. You can get up to like 11, 12 shots, even maybe. I don't know quite sure if you get that many. But now I'm at 100 right here, and I'm keeping track of my thing right here. And I think right here, at 8 ammo, that's enough, right? You don't want to like overcompensate, and you know, especially with the reload speed there is pretty fast when you're in super firepower mode. So go 1, 2, there we go. And yeah, I mean that's basically what we have Neon for. She has to build burst in her firepower gauge. Her firepower gauge will increase her burst gen speed relative to how much firepower that she has, and make sure that when you burst with her, that you have, you know, a pretty good amount of ammo. Overall, ideally try to get like 8, 9, 10-ish shots off during her burst. So I will be back with the stats for this fight right after this. So here we are. We are at 10.4, which is about 1.5-ish bill below the Cinderella score. And here are the stats right here. Keep in mind, though, that not only was Cinderella more invested in, but this fight doesn't quite cater to Neon's strengths overall. Like, Neon has a very, very wide damage radius, where she can probably do things like hit parts or hit, like, you know, multiple enemies at the same time, if that is going to be a thing, where Cinderella shots will not always do that all the time. So yeah, like, the fight is definitely more in Cinderella's favor. But yeah, I definitely do think in a more favorable scenario that Neon will be pushing even more damage, especially if the investment was equal. Anyway, let's go over a couple more scenarios here. So moving on right. So next we're going to have this team here. Going to be the 4 electric plus 1 crown. I do think that this is more of like a anomaly interception team or a union raid team, not a solo raid, because they can solo raid unless you have like literally, you know, a bunch more electrics built up. You know, you have what do you call it, Ada, right? And you have even like things like Isabel, Arcana, leveled up stuff like that, maybe the shotgun, things like that. You're probably gonna have to move Summer Niece to a different team to have her for that. But here we go. My maiden, unfortunately, is really bad. But we're just gonna go with this. This will be basically a full auto, and in fact, I'm not even gonna bother about checking the reload numbers on the Neon for this fight. So I'm just gonna hit full auto and just kind of sit back and watch. Well, you guys get to enjoy the results screen right now. So here are the results. About 12.78 bill. Remember that the Cinderella fight was a little under 12, so this did do a bit more damage. I'm wondering if I replace Maiden with the Mast here, how we'll do. I guess I'll test that out next. So you might be wondering too, what if I just use Cinderella, Neon, and Anise, both Anises, and that doesn't really work, unfortunately, because both Anise and Cinderella really have to burst, and Maiden can work as an off burst. I guess if you have kind of a mid investment Summer Anise, she also doesn't have to burst, but I definitely think I'd much rather have them on separate teams overall, at least for solo raid. Maybe for like unit raid or something else, it might be a little bit different, but that's just what I think based on their skill sets. So let's continue on. So here are the results, 12.6, a little bit lower than the Maiden, and here are the stats right here. Keep in mind though that this main Mast is heavily invested into. She is 10-10-10. The Maiden is like bare minimum to be like used at all, and she also basically has like the worst lines possible. So you can probably expect maybe like a 10 to 15-ish% with equal investment, like damage drop overall, if I had to guess, between the two teams. But if for some reason you need Maiden for something else, you can do that. Even though I do believe that she's almost always exclusively now paired with the Summer and Nice comps now. So, but yeah, it is a thing that you can consider doing. So finally here, we are in the Solo Raid Museum versus Altison, the train, which I kind of feel is going to be a more suitable boss to see how Neon does. We'll be going in with the same first team we did with Cinderella, and then do it again with Anise. Go into No Limit. Hopefully, I don't die. Here we go. This might be a little bit more involved than some of the other fights. So here we go. Let me make it. So here we go. Let's go to the crowd here. Hit these turrets over here, just in case we can get to them. And there's Cinderella right there. Let's get rid of those missiles. Okay, very good. Okay, we killed those. We killed more of them. Okay, those are go. We go 1, 2, and now. Oh, I guess I. Okay, weird. I thought I bursted with Cinderella first, but okay, whatever. Fine. Right, keep it on going. Next one will be a mass burst. So we'll go 1, 2, and so do it that way. Sure. I must have just hit my burst button a little bit too aggressively there. So we will keep going. And get that, and there we go. There's some turrets here we have to get rid of before they kill my team. And we'll just keep on going here. And we could do back-to-back crown bursts. There we go, and kill these turrets also. There we go. Yeah, see, this boss has a pretty wide area. It also has a lot of parts, too, that we can potentially hit and get rid of for the fight. But yeah, I am just going to finish this off, and I'll show you some of the results for the fight in just a moment here. So here we are, about 11.5. So not the greatest, honestly. Didn't really play amazingly. And we did miss a QTE, but it was at the very, very end. So maybe you can round this up to like 12 billion overall for this, what we have here. So we have, any star at about 3, Cinderella 3.8, and then Rappy Red Hood about 1.6. And let's just toss in Neon and see how she does. I'll keep in mind too is that my Cinderella also bursted second on the last one, so something you want to keep in mind over there. And here, there's too much going on for me to really keep track of the ammo all the time, unfortunately. So we might lose a little bit of damage from burst that way. But I think that is, worth it just for like sanity's sake overall. Let's see here, how much we do overall. So see there that those missiles are also disappearing, which is pretty nice overall here. And now we go into a double crown burst. Maybe get some of these parts down. Very good. So this one here, the Rappy is not taking nearly as much damage because we are just destroying all of the parts very quickly in this fight. It looks like, at least that's what it seems like. If I had to guess, that's what it is that the parts are, like the missiles, stuff like that, are just dying a lot faster because of Neon versus Cinderella. So we're relatively healthy, where before the Rappy was literally at like 1 health for the entire fight. So yeah. Anyway, we will fast forward to the end of this fight, and I'll show you the comparisons for the results. So here we are, about 12, a little under 12, and remember, what we said with the Cinderella team is that we were going to kind of round up to 12 just to make up for kind of mistakes on my part in the fight. So about equal, I would say. Keep in mind too, though, is that the Neon, again, much less invested in than the Cinderella. And the fight, after I did it like a little bit, it didn't seem to be like that much in Neon's favor overall. I definitely do think, though, that the solo raid fight coming up, in a little bit here, will be greatly beneficial for Neon, as it seems like destroying those parts over and over again will probably be something that is a little more important coming up here. So, just so you know. But yeah, what are my results and my findings here? Like, do I think that Neo Neon or Neon Vision Eye is a good unit? Well, just based on these few tests here, yes, I do. Now, is she better than Cinderella? Probably. So, for what I've seen, she's at least equal in a lot of cases, if not overall better, with the same type of investment into her. Now, like, let's say she's not better than Cinderella, right? Let's say that she's like 90% of Cinderella's power. Is she still good? Yes. Especially when you look at like the characters that Electric has for 8 Burst 3 right now, and my god, are they hurting for some more characters. It's like, you have True Damage, you have Dead, you have only Off Burst, right? True Damage, right? You have, have to be used with another character type things. So yeah, even if she wasn't um up to Cinderella, like 90%, then she's still a must pull. Definitely. But the fact that I'm pretty sure she's equal or better, that's pretty nice. Now, do I think she's as game breaking as Anise? No. Uh, I Anise is so strong that she kind of like warps the game around her, right? She's basically like the burst one version of Crown almost. Neon is just a very strong character. All right. So I might have a video like comparing the two in a couple of days or so. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was helpful for you. If you found it, helpful, if you liked it, leave that like down below, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Anyways, I Wild Neptune. Been a good one. Till next time.